Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled, When is one chayiv obligated to eat and sleep in the sukkah? So the second question is much easier to answer than the first. Sleeping in the sukkah always must take place. One is not allowed to sleep outside the sukkah, even a nap in one's home for a little bit, 20 minutes, half hour. Not acceptable. Any amount of sleep is considered to be sleep regarding the halachot of sukkah. So any napping, sleeping must be done in the sukkah. What about eating? So there's really a one answer that needs to be explained, and that answer is kvi'ut. When a person sets himself up for a meal, then that is when he is chayiv to eat in the sukkah and make a bracha. What does kvi'ut mean? There are several ways for one to achieve kvi'ut. If it is bread, then once he has a beitza worth of bread, about a slice, he'd have a sandwich. That certainly would be a beitza. He would have to eat that in the sukkah, make leishe basukah. Whether he looks at it as a snack or not doesn't make a difference. If he goes ahead and has a mizonot, let's say pasta, spaghetti and meatballs, doesn't say hamotzi, but that's a supper, and he's having with other people. So there, it's an amount that is chayav. It's an amount that's a substantial amount, that enough that to make his supper, and he's eating with other people. So either one of those would be enough. So to make a kviyut sudah, he'd have to have his pasta, spaghetti and meatballs, noodles and cheese. That's his meal. That's his sudah. He would have to have it in the sukkah and make a bracha. What if he goes ahead and has other foods that are not from the 5 grains? So Shulchan Aruch says that it's only the 5 grains, either in bread form, which is a beitza, or in the 5 grain form, in mizonot form, cooked, that when you're koveya, that's it. Fruits, you can have as much as you want. Your pator. Wine as much as you want. Your pator. And that would seem to imply meat, chicken, eggs, fish. You don't have to go in the sukkah. The Mishnah says there are those who don't accept that and maintain that once you make a meal out of fish and cheese and eggs and meat, you should eat in the sukkah. Not to make a bracha. We only make a bracha on the 5 grains in either mizonot or hamotzi form, but you should at least have it, stay in the sukkah. Okay. Now regarding kviyut sudah on mizonot, does it depend totally on me? I'm making into my meal. It's a small little bowl of pasta, tiny amount, but that's my meal. So normally, we don't say, let's say a person has a mizonot roll, if there is such a thing, or let's take crackers. A person has a few crackers during the year, and that's his kaviyut. He eats that as his meal. So the Shulchan Aruch rejects that. It doesn't matter whether he looks at it as a meal. That cannot make him to kaviyut regarding benching all year. He'd have to have a more objective amount. The Ravid over there by Brachot says that no, if you have crackers and that's your breakfast or that's your lunch, then that's it. It's your kviut, and therefore you'd wash, say hamotzi, and bench. Over here, but we reject the Ravid there. Over here, do we accept such an approach? And Bishop brings an approach down who maintains that, yeah, whatever, I'm koveya. Then that goes by my subjective kviyut sudah. I'm koveya on one of the 5 grains, even if others are not. So hamotzi, that's objective, a beitza. But the 5 grains in mizonot form is dependent on me. And I'm koveya, even though others say, no, that's not a meal. So Mishper Halach says maybe that would be kviyut. Why? Because Teshu Kein Tadura means you live in the sukkah the way you would in your house, and maybe that lends itself to more subjective criteria. So, bread, once it's beitza, you have to eat in the sukkah with a bracha. Tavshil, let's say noodles, pasta, kugels. Once you're koveya, if you have friends and you have a whole suda together or a certain amount that most people would be koveya on, then you chayev in the sukkah because that's kviyut, and you have to make a leishe basukah. Fruits and vegetables, even if you have a lot, you pator. But Bishop says if you have filling kind of foods, chicken, meat, fish, eggs, then you should eat without a bracha. That's an overview of the halachot based on the Shulchan Aruch. One last point is, what about cakes and cookies, stuff like that? So Mishmura says also there should be some kind of kviyut sudah. Then for sure you'd make a bracha. He says, but many people seem to make a bracha on cakes, even just a piece of kazayit, or just a beitza, even without a kviyut sudah. The question is why? So he has a very beautiful idea regarding Shabbat morning, when you go ahead and have your cake in your sukkah, and you have wine. So that cake has a status to it, because you need to have kiddush b'makom su'udah, kiddush in the place of su'udah. So when I have my piece of cake, halachically, Hilchot Shabbat define the piece of cake as a su'udah regarding kiddush in the place of su'udah. So maybe once it's defined as a kiddush b'makom su'udah, that mizonot is a su'udah. So then I go ahead and say, oh, it's a su'udah regarding Shabbat. It's regarding, then also it's a su'udah regarding Sukkot, and I can make a bracha on that cake. That's a beautiful idea regarding Shabbat morning Kiddush, Yontif morning Kiddush. But what about every day? People go ahead, they have a piece of cake, and that's it. They make them as a leishev. When according to the criteria, it would seem only when you have kviyot that a piece of cake is not kviyot. Unless you go with the Be'er Halacha that, no, I am making this cake into my meal, but that's only if it's true. If I'm having just a quick piece, another hour, I'm going to have a real breakfast, then where's the kviyot? So Mishmur says it's not simple conception. On the other hand, people do it. So he says if you're going to make a leishev on a piece of cake, not on Shabbat morning, Yom Tov morning, where the Shabbat morning, Yom Tov morning may give it a status of kviyut, just a regular Chol Hamoed day, and you're going to make the bracha, which is not simple that you should do, at least stay in the sukkah afterwards as well. Many opinions hold that just staying in the sukkah, living in the sukkah, that itself warrants a bracha. Rambam maintains that way. So when I'm eating and then I stay in the sukkah, there's at least more of a svara that maybe I should say a leishev for sukkah. But ideally, it's best to have some kind of kviyut, have a bates of bread beforehand, have a kviyut on other mizonot as well, pasta, so you can get out of any kind of safek brachot. Regarding Havdalah, the minhag is to make Havdalah in the sukkah. Some say there's chashiva to the Havdalah in the sukkah, but we don't make a leishev. And if a person wants to say leishev, maybe they should have the Havdalah and go right into Sudah. Then they could say leishev on that as well. Shalom.